Let's take a look what the scene looks like. In the package you will receive a demo scene which has a light, it has a player, which is this beautiful cow here. The camera is attached directly to the player, so no need to have any fancy camera controllers in this version. The background is where you add new parallax backgrounds to the scene. For example, in this scene we have the star sky, this is the background here. We have clouds, 2 clouds. We have the mountain, and we have a couple of trees and a ground. For each of the backgrounds you can set depth relative to player. A 0 here would mean that it is at the same level as a player, so a player will just walk past it. A -1 will mean that it is closer to the camera, so it will pass the player faster than if it were 0. And a 1 here means infinity. So if you have a 1 here, the object will not move in reference to the player. We have a repeating background, and that is for anything that is not fixed, that should keep repeating when we move. We also have the background follow camera checkbox. If you check that, as in this example in the star sky, it will just follow the player when we move. So let's take a look at that. We can see here that the background is following the player. And the other objects are duplicated and passed on to the player position at all times. Now I'm going to show you how to add new backgrounds. So go to the project, scenes, and open the empty scene. To add a background, you go to the backgrounds object. And here in the inspector, first you have to choose a sprite. So you go to your sprites folder. And in this case, let's start with the ground. So let's take the 1920 ground here, sprite, and drag that to the sprite. Order in layer is the same thing as for any other sprites. It determines how it renders with respect to the other. So let's keep it at 0. The depth relative to player should be 0 because we want the ground to be at the player level. It should not follow camera, and it should be a repeating background. And then you click add background layer. There we go. We have a ground. And if you play, you will see that it duplicates itself a few times. And now we can play here, and it will follow the player. Let's add a mountain. So from the sprites view, we drag the mountain here. Order in layer, it should be behind the ground, far in the distance. So the sprite order should be a lesser number than the ground. Let's take -10. The depth relative to player, as it is far in the distance, we increase this number. It should not be completely standstill. Let's put it to 0.94. That will be good. It should not follow the camera, and it should be a repeating background. And to add it, just press add background layer. There we go. And we can go to the scene and adjust its position slightly. That looks good. And if we now hit play, we can see that it moves slightly in reference to the cow. Great. Let's add some trees. You select background, and let's get some trees. Let's see, they should be between the ground and the mountain. So, and a value between 0 and -10. Let's take -5. And they should move a bit faster, so we decrease the depth. Again, no background follows camera, and repeating background X. There we go, some trees. You can select the trees again and adjust the position. And now if we play, we can see that the trees move faster than the mountain. And everything seems to work just fine. If we want to see a difference in the speed, we can just increase the number slightly here. So it has a different number than the ground. And if we now hit play, we can see that the trees actually move slower than the ground, which is the intended functionality. So good luck in creating your first Parallax scroller game.